Hey guys, Carlos Colon here with Georgia Perimeter Homes, and today we're going to be talking about, do realtors help you find rentals? How does that work? Alright you guys, welcome back to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's jump right in. As far as rentals, the rental market is completely different than the home sales market. While a real estate agent is able to do both, it's the equivalent of a firefighter deciding whether he's going to put out a forest fire or put out a small brush, like a little brush fire on the side. While both are easy, can be handled, there are priorities within the real estate industry depending on what you specialize in. There are two types of agents, and one of them primarily handles rentals. And that's typically going to be your property management. There is a real estate license for that. It is very specific for that. And while you might be able to sell homes, it's not really, when you do that field, that's not really your bread and butter, so to say. Then there's the other side of it, which is handling home sales. And if you do that at a full time at the highest level, you also don't really cross over very often into the rental markets, except where you do. And what I mean by that is when you work with investors or you just so happen to know about something. So that's kind of a complicated answer, but just to simplify it, there's two types of licenses. One of them is for property management, the other one's for selling real estate. You can have both, there's no problem with that, just like a real estate agent can also be an appraiser. There's nothing illegal about that either, or wrong with that. It's just understanding that the more attention you put into one, the less attention you put into the other. And so most people don't do both at a very high level, is what I'm trying to say. So if when we're working with a client who needs a rental, I'll tell you, and obviously we do the home sales side of it a lot. That's our bread and butter. That's what we do. When someone says, Carlos, we're Georgia Perimeter Homes, we need a rental, can you find us a rental? It's not to say that we can't help them find it, because we actually have access to the MLS systems where they can actually go in there, and we also have access to third-party websites where they can go on there and look as well, because not everyone puts their rentals on the MLS. So we can help them with our resources that we have in order to find it. But truth be told, in most cases, what we do is we get them over to the listing agent, and the listing agent for that particular rental typically handles everything. And that's okay in our world, because the commission on that is not comparable to the other. So we basically, what we do on our end, because we handle sales more than anything else, is we guide you in the right direction. We point you to who you need to talk to about a particular home if you really like one, in order to get that walkthrough, do the application, and get approved through them. And that's all. That's all that we kind of deal with. I have seen some other agents that try to do both at a high level. It doesn't work out very well. Either, basically you get the short end of the stick on one end or the other. But if you're a property management company, just so you understand why this is so different, as a property management company, what really pays the bills for you isn't so much finding a renter. It's actually the monthly fees that they charge the sellers for the management of that property. That's really what they do. And so if you could imagine what they actually end up handling: background checks, right? Income verification, and background meaning criminal, by the way, background checks. Also rental history verification. They do all of these things in order to verify whether a renter meets the criteria to be able to rent this home from them. So that has nothing to do with home sales. And so that's a completely different world. If you can imagine, that's almost like crossing the boundaries of the equivalent of almost a mortgage lender. Not quite that deep, but it gets into that realm. Because they do pull credit in a lot of cases as well. And so this isn't something that we in sales typically deal with very often, where property management, this is what they do, this is how they use their license, and that's what they specialize in. And so a lot of agents also complain about well, if I bring you the renter, how come you're only sharing $100 or $200 of the $1,200 rental deposit? Well, that's why. It's because the listing agent is typically doing all of the work for the background checks and all those other things that need to be done in order to verify whether this person even qualifies And whereas the buyer's agent doesn't really do anything other than possibly maybe showing them the property. So it's important to understand how that process works. And so the gist of it is, yes, an agent could help you find a rental, but if they primarily do sales, they're not likely going to be your first go-to for something like that. They can point you in the right direction in most cases and help you kind of get to the right resources. And I do suggest that you reach out and ask, because a lot of renters truly don't know they could potentially qualify for a mortgage. And if not immediately, then there are several companies that we can get you with where you would still rent, but it would be more of a rent to own rather than just a straight rental. So you pay the same bill every month, but you actually have an opportunity to close this out and own this home rather than your only renting period, and that's it. So reach out to us if you have any questions or are interested in owning your own home or interested in selling your home. And we'll be happy to help you with this if you're an investor and interested in purchasing investment properties, whether it be to rent or flip. Reach out to us as well. Our phone number is 770-314-1285, or check out our listings on our website all over the state at www.georgiaperimeterhomes.com. Thanks. Bye.